Cingari here with Ruan Potts. Thanks for joining us today. Ruan, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me, Susan.
So, Ruan, take us through a typical day of training for you.
For me, typical days up 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I go and I pretty much split my routine up, So I train 2 to 3 times a day. I go according to what the body feels like and obviously how hectic the session was for that day or the previous day, should I say. And I'm pretty much used to train, obviously to a set schedule. And I've actually figured out that and found I think it works much better than you rather just listen to your body. Your body doesn't lie.
So when you say you're doing the split schedule, you're doing cardio in the morning. Some of the guys in the U.S. do maybe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the evening. Can you give us any more specifics on your typical daily training routine?
As I say, I mix it up pretty much. I do a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling in the mornings mostly. Sometimes I mix it up on the like every alternate day. I'll do a bit of cardio, but over here in South Africa at the moment in Johannesburg, it's a bit cold in the morning. It was -3 the other morning, so
Wow.
it's a bit too cold to go jogging and doing some road work.
I didn't know it got that cold there. It's very warm in Florida today. I think it's 90 degrees here, so really different temperature. How did you get started in MMA then?
It's quite a strange story. Some people obviously know it, some people don't. I'm a dental technician by trade. I make crowns and bridges, and I had my own dental laboratory. So me and my wife, we opened a laboratory, and I basically offered my services to all the gyms in the area. I was living in the UK at that time. I did judo when I was a youngster, and I got my South African colors, meaning basically I came first in South Africa at the age of 16 and 17. But judo is not MMA on its own. I looked at the sport. Obviously, I knew about UFC. Everybody always watched it as kids and when we were younger. And I saw these guys doing mixed martial arts, and basically the rest is history. And I thought I'd let's check this out. Offered them my services for mouth guards, and thought, let's start training. And it was quite fun. I started enjoying it, and I obviously fell in love with it and had a passion for the sport.
That's a really interesting story. I think I probably know the answer to this question now that we have the dental information on record here. But then how did you get the nickname Fangzz?
That's exactly it. The Fangzz, obviously it started off with the mouth guards. And pretty much after that, I was pretty good at like rear naked chokes and stuff like that. So people used to say once he's got his fangs in, there's no chance you're going to get out. So that was another thing. But basically started from the dental technology.
Tough lots against the Hulk. Looking back, what would you have done differently now?
Obviously first fight UFC jitters. Everybody's got it. I knew I would be a bit nervous. I went in. I wasn't too nervous. I was a bit nervous. Obviously, you didn't know what to expect. Different crowd, different spectators, and all of that. And obviously, the Hulk had, so it had a few fights before in the UFC. But what I'd done differently, there's one or two little things that I could have done differently. But it's a heavyweight game, and it's MMA. You're fighting with 4 ounce gloves. Anything can happen in a heavyweight game. I've never been rocked or even knocked out ever in my life before. So, that nervous jitters for worrying about that, that's out the way now too. So, that's not going to happen soon again. And simple little error, and and unfortunately paid the price.
You have an impressive record. What does signing with the UFC mean to you as a fighter?
Obviously everybody, we in South Africa, we strive to in our organization, we strive to do the best, because we obviously want to fight in the world's best one day, So everybody strives to be the best and to obviously compete with the UFC, the biggest and the largest organization in the world and the most impressive organization. But that's another thing, you got a lot of pressure. I'm the only South African, so everybody's, holding their hopes on me. So that's another part of the jitters that's gone, So that's the fight's done. The first one's out the way, and I've got so much more. I'm not so frustrated with the loss as what I am that people didn't actually see what I'm capable of. So next time everybody will be in for a big surprise.
So when can we see you back in the Octagon then?
We're in discussions at the moment, myself and my manager, and I'm hoping anytime around the end of August or September. So quite soon, I'm hoping, and yeah, I'm looking forward to. I've already started training. Obviously, I haven't started a training camp. I don't know opponent or anything, but as soon as I know that, which should be shortly, yeah, then everybody will know. But then I'll be able to prepare for the bout.
Anybody on your radar that you'd like to fight? Anybody that's sort of at the top of the list, so to speak, for getting back in the octagon?
Yeah, I mean the UFC, they'll match me up whoever's they think is a worthy opponent. And as Soa said in his previous interview, also, everybody that's reached the UFC, has got to have done something right. And any opponent can be good. You can't underestimate any opponent. But I'm not too fussed. A good fight would have been anybody that's an up and comer. I know that Soa is now fighting this weekend, and yeah, whoa, now I've forgotten his name now. Josh Rochold, I think it is, if I'm correct. And that would have been also a good opponent for me. He's also, I think he's had 2 fights in the UFC, and also, a new guy. So, but anyway, in all honesty, I'm easy. I'm not too fussed about an opponent. End of the day, I love the sport. I love the passion that I have for the sport. And at the end of the day, all I'm wanting to do is go out, train, and you prepare for any fight. So opponent doesn't really matter. You prepare for that opponent as the time comes. So I'm ready.
This question comes from Twitter from MMA Fight Fans. He wants to know, is there a vast difference between the quality of the fighters in the UFC and the EFC, in your opinion?
There'll always be a difference. I mean, UFC has been around just about forever, So, whereas in South Africa, MMA has only really been big on a large scale. I'd say probably for the last 4.5 years. So, most definitely, the guys are training hard. We're actually training. I'd say probably we try training harder because we've got a point to prove to try getting to the UFC. But in all honesty, our guys are training hard. I've trained with the guys overseas. I've trained with the guys here in South Africa. And in all honesty, we're trying our best. All our athletes are up and coming. And with every single event that's held, every single every single athlete's actually doing much better. So to their previous bouts. So yeah, we're moving up. We're moving up really rapidly. And I think there's a few names in South Africa that people must keep their eyes on, and I think there's some up and coming youngsters, especially, that's most definitely going to reach the UFC one day.
Can you share any of those names with us, since you are what I would call an MMA pioneer from your country? Then.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a youngster, Don Madge. He's up and coming. You've got Leon Maynard. He's up and coming, and tough as nails. And yeah, you've got a guy called Soldier Boy, Gareth McClellan. Also, he had the belt, lost the belt, won the belt back, and he's also phenomenal opponent. And in all honesty, as I said, they're moving up the ranks, they're moving up quite rapidly, and yeah, there's definitely guys to look out for. I think there's a few youngsters that are really, really young. They're 21, and the talent they've managed to attain in such a short period of time is unbelievable. So yeah, I reckon with 2 years more experience, I could see a lot of the guys going through. Possibly, maybe even sooner, but hopefully for them, maybe sooner into the UFC. So some good guys.
Do you feel like an MMA pioneer being the first South African to make it into the UFC?
Yeah, as I said, it's an honor to fight for the UFC. Being a pioneer, yeah, there's a lot of big names that's been in the sport for quite a few years. Like people that have started many years before I even started. But, they obviously didn't make it there in time, and should I say to the level that they needed to reach the UFC. So, yeah, I mean, it's an honor for me to be the ambassador for so to speak, the ambassador for the country. But there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. Everybody's, hopes are up high. If I do well, then there's a possibility that others will come through and I'll open the door for them, So that's why I always try my best, because I know that we have got the talent, and unfortunately I didn't do too well my last one, so it's not great, for the guys watching me. But yeah, I'll definitely, fix up my mistakes, and I'll definitely open that door for them.
What do you like to do in your free time then?
Free time, I work during the day too. I've got a full-time job, but I've got a pretty good position I've been given a lot of time off, all the time that's needed actually for training and stuff, but every single spare moment I can, I'll spend with my wife and kid. That they the joy of my life, and that's what I live for, and that's what I do the sport for. My friends, family, and my parents and my brother and everybody. That's what I live for. Family's key. So yeah, every spare moment I can get is with my wife and kid. So.
And have you ever given any thought to moving to the United States? And if so, where might you move to?
I have. I've had lots of people saying, "When are you moving to the United States?" Not even asking. So when are you moving? So in all honesty, at the moment, I've been training. I've done my training camps and stuff always in South Africa. I've trained in Vegas for a while, and then I've trained in the UK. Obviously, I lived there for 10 years. But at the moment, I wouldn't say at the moment. I think I found a place I can call home in America, and I think that's pretty much Florida, and
You're
the team
coming to my
of
state.
it's
You're coming to Florida, yay!
yeah, and in all honesty, the Black Zillions are there. So in all honesty,
Okay.
I've found a great team there, a great bunch of guys, great, obviously, phenomenal athletes themselves. Everybody's like pretty much champions, ex-champions or champions to be. And as I said, nice guy. I felt very welcomed, by them. And that'll be my training camp, So I used to split the training camp and go all over the place. And I think it's much better, you get out of you can focus on the fight and do what you want. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do for my next fight. I'm going to come over there and do my full training camp and go straight into the fight, And then you're away from all the hustle and bustle and all the other things that pretty much, distract you, doing a fight when you're overseas and you've got to worry about where you're going to train and where you're going now and when are you going to go overseas. So in all honesty, I think that's what I can call home at the moment, and that's what's going to be my training camp in future.
So then I look forward to seeing you in Florida. You'll have to promise me an interview when you come back down here.
We'll have to meet up for a coffee.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add today, sir?
No, obviously, just. I thank obviously you guys for the interview, but I thank for the American fans and everybody else. I'm getting more fans. Win or lose, it's MMA. You come back stronger, and I've proved that in the past. And I just want to thank everybody for their hospitality in the UFC and everybody for obviously giving me the opportunity. And obviously my friends, family, and most importantly, without our fans, we can't do anything. So thanks to my fans out there. And my sponsors, my sponsors also have been with me through thick and thin. And if I could give a mention to my sponsors, it's Rex Different Gearbox, REG, Mr. Shelf, and USN. It's they're great guys, and at the end of the day, they brought me to pretty much where I am today. And as I said, they've stuck with me through thick and thin.
Ruan Potts, thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing you back at the Octagon very soon. I want to remind you that you can subscribe to my YouTube channel below and also see this interview at MMAFightFans.com. I'm Susan Cingari, and remember, every fighter has a story. Thanks for joining us.